Egypt's Western Desert. We thought we knew it. But the thing about this place is, it doesn't stay behind. It gets under your skin, and sooner or later, it pulls you back. Back in 2020, my family and I traveled through Egypt for the first time. From the temples of Luxor to the towering statues of Abu Simbel. It was mesmerizing, chaotic, and utterly unforgettable. It wasn't the pyramids or the Nile that captured our hearts, though. It was a remote town deep in the Western Desert, not far from the Libyan border. The Bahariya Oasis, a place so far off the beaten path that most visitors to Egypt never have the chance to visit. Bathing in Cleopatra's well, soaking in salt pools, and exploring a town where ancient castles blend seamlessly with the shops and the homes. It was a place that dramatically shifted our perception of what travel in Egypt is really like. On that trip, we were chased out of Egypt. A worldwide pandemic that left us scrambling desperately for a flight home before the world shut down. The magic of this vast, empty region of Egypt has stayed with us. And when we began planning a month-long family journey across Africa, through Tanzania, Zambia, and Mozambique, there was no question about where it should begin. It had to be here. It had to be the Western Desert. Our adventure began at the Giza Pyramids Inn, a guest house jammed into the busy streets of Giza that had $1 million view.
Check out our view.
Not from the room, but from the restaurant. We spent the evening on the rooftop patio, watching the sun drop behind the Great Pyramids while a call to prayer drifted through the haze. Below us, Cairo was chaos. Horns, shouts, and the smell of roasted corn mixing with exhaust. The trade-off was a view that has stayed mostly the same for 5,000 years. And somehow, it still takes your breath away. The drive west started early. Cairo disappeared in the rearview mirror, replaced by endless desert, while we all slept in the truck. When we awoke, we were immersed in the landscape of Egypt's Western Desert. Our first stop, Watermelon Valley, a smattering of black limestone rocks strewn haphazardly across the sand like seas. Trying to capture that, I leaned my phone out the window. Big mistake. At 140 kilometers an hour, well, speed limits are a suggestion in Egypt. Not a great start for day one of our month-long African adventure. We left the roadway and took to the dunes and the dirt paths. Every rock looked like an opportunity to explore, but our guide, Islam from the White Desert Tours, knew the coolest places and made sure that we saw them. a small limestone cave carved into the earth by wind and rain. A glimpse into the underbelly of the desert.
All right. Does it go all the way through?
Further west, we reached Wadi Al-Hitan, one of Egypt's strangest and most extraordinary places. 60 million years ago, this was an ocean. Now it's a fossil graveyard. The bones of ancient whales lying exposed in the sand. We hiked the trails, the boys following the lines of the long vertebrae. These whales weren't just massive victims of a changing world. They were evidence of evolution. You see, the whale bones in Egypt's western desert had hind legs. Evidence that they had evolved from land-dwelling mammals. Our journey through the western desert took us into the Cairo Oasis, one of the oldest inhabited areas on Earth. A patchwork of palms, farms, and water shimmering beneath the sun. Wadi El Rayyan, Egypt's only waterfall. Here, locals were bathing and laughing in the warm runoff from the nearby farms. Farm runoff. Beautiful, but even in that desert heat, we were not tempted to jump in. As the late day sun began to drift low in the sky, we stopped at Magic Lake. For Islam, this was a special place, his favorite view in all of the western desert. We were supposed to camp that night, but some vehicle trouble sidelined us. Instead, we rolled into Wadi, the largest town in the Bahariya Oasis. Egypt has two sides. The one it shows you, and the one hiding behind the walls. And this place was a perfect example. That night, we checked into Islam's family lodge, Badri Safari Camp, just on the edge of Wadi. The rooms were basic, but after 17 hours of adventure that day, we were all ready to pass out. The bonus of missing out on camping our first night in the Western Desert was that we had a chance to visit the Bahariya Oasis, the lifeblood of this stretch of sand. We stopped for tea at a small cafe by the water.
Cheers.
The owner poured it strong and sweet, while we relaxed and enjoyed the view. Back on the road, the sand turned darker. The flat sand began to gather, and soon we were surrounded by golden hills topped with black volcanic rock. The Black Desert. Looking out over the valley, the sides of the Western Desert started to hit us. Blackened hilltops as far as the eye could see. Yet, this was just a tiny part of it. A little farther down the road, the sunlight caught something bright on the horizon. Crystal Mountain, a ridge laced with quartz and calcite that glitters against the light of the desert sun.
Shining crystals.
By midday, the desert sun was unforgiving, and lunch was a welcome break. We parked at a roadside stop where the owner pointed us towards a spring-fed pool tucked behind the property. It was too much to pass up, and we all jumped into the mineral-rich water. It felt great to wash up, especially because the grand finale was coming soon. The White Desert. Wind and time have carved this landscape into something beyond imagination. Giant chalk formations, mushrooms, towers, camels, even faces, rising from the sand like sculptures in a gallery made by the earth itself. We arrived while the light was still high, just in time for the boys to grab their sandboards and climb the dunes. They launched themselves down the slopes, laughter echoing across the valley. But not every run was a success. We drove deeper into the White Desert, the scenery becoming more and more epic with each moment. As the sun sank in the sky, Islam found us the perfect spot to set up camp. The world turned gold, then pink, then ghostly white under the moon. We camped on the sand, surrounded by silence and more stars than any of us had ever seen before. I can't think of a better start to our month-long journey across Africa. The Western Desert isn't about what you see. It's about what it makes you feel. It strips away the noise, the rush, the need to control every moment. If this journey has stirred something in you, if you're dreaming about showing your kids a world that still feels wild and unexplored, hit that like button, subscribe, and start planning your own family travel adventure. Because sometimes the quietest places tell the loudest stories. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on Wandering Wagars Adventure Family Travel.